why another Cinema Snob movie?
Maybe. Hang on, I gotta get back. I gotta get in interview mode right now. I didn't know we were starting.
No problem.
we we there is a big story behind that. Like, we were approached several years ago about doing another Cinema Snob movie. This was back when we were when we were briefly on Maker TV, like after Blip TV went down. So Maker was putting up money for different producers to do various projects. I want to say there was like a DVD or a particular review that they helped Doug Walker on, and some other channels over on Channel Awesome. Over on our end, we were in talks with them about doing a sequel to the Cinema Snob movie, and then me and Ryan were talking about it. We were bouncing back and forth different ideas because, we had an idea that was really, really good, and we really, really wanted to do it. And, we thought we could, expand on some of the characters and really tell another cool movie. But Maker, the turnaround time they wanted on it was like ridiculously short. It was like with pre-production, production, and post-production, I want to say it was like a month or two, which would have been impossible. Like, even if we were to just, even if we were to do that and make that deadline, like it would have been a very rushed product, and it wouldn't have been very good. So then we didn't think about it much after that. And we focused on some other movies like Jesus Bro, and I directed Disco last year. But then we were going to do another movie, which was like a Hallmark Christmas parody. It was like a comedy horror film. But again, like if we were to kind of get that's another project we really, really didn't want to rush, because a Christmas movie like that kind of has to be out like within a certain time a year. Mm-hmm. So that freed us up to do another project, and we were talking about doing a sequel to the Snob movie a few years ago. And so we thought, okay, well, this actually gives us all the time we need to actually realize this project. And again, we were talking about different ideas that we wanted to do with it, and we thought it was a really good time to do it. So we put up the crowdfunding for it like we did with Jesus Bro, and we think we can make a really good sequel. And another reason we thought it would be cool too is to make a Cinema Snob movie with the resources that we have now, whereas a lot of resources we had when we did the first movie were pretty limited. Now we would like to see what we could do with this story and this character with the kind of resources that we had when we made Jesus Bro.
So you're writing, but you're not directing, correct?
No, I'm not directing. Like with the first movie, Ryan Mitchell directed the first movie. He also directed Jesus Bro. He's been my business partner for a long time. He even produced my earlier films in the early 2000s. We first met in doing radio together. We were DJs back in the day. So he produced my earlier movies like Freak Out, Cheat, Midnight Heat, all these micro-budgeted movies I did in the early mid-2000s. And so when it's a project like this, like the Cinema Snob movie, like Jesus Bro, and like this film, that are very professionally done, they have, a crew, the whole 9 yards, all of that, and a decent sized budget as well. When it's a project like that, Ryan he's an experienced director. He has a degree, he went to college for it. He knows his stuff. He's fantastic at what he does. I wouldn't know what to do with a budget like that. I wouldn't know what to do with a budget like that. I wouldn't know what to do with like a big crew on a movie. I wouldn't. My comfort zone is movies like Disco, where, I'm making a movie with like the money I have in my pocket. That's my wheelhouse. That's the kind of things I personally like directing, like Disco, Hooker with a Heart of Gold, and things like that. So when it's a project like this, it's definitely best it's Ryan directing it.
When you and Ryan are working on a project together, what's your process for getting everything rolling? Do you have one, or do you just kind of have worked so long together that there's really not a process? It's just a natural progression of getting something done.
It certainly got natural as the years went on. We've always worked great together. Like when we first started doing a couple of movies where he directed it, and I wrote it and like co-produced it. We would have disagreements on things, certainly, because that's only natural on like a collaborative project like that. But in doing Jesus Bro and in doing this movie, we've worked together so long that we just have our natural groove on things. Like, okay, for Jesus Bro, like I wrote a draft of Jesus Bro. He did his draft. You know, I polished up the third draft and likewise. So we really didn't have any disagreements at all, like on Jesus Bro, and we really haven't on this movie as well. We speak the same language now as far as movies like this go. Also, we're older now. Like we're older now. We're in our mid late 30s. We're not like, you know, in our 20s or whatever when we were doing shit like Paranoia and the Cinema Snob movie. So we've just got like our natural groove when it comes to making movies like this. We know each other's sense of humor, we know each other's style, and there's very few people, you know, I'd rather work with like this than Ryan. He's fantastic. He can take an idea that I have and really run with it and expand upon it, and vice versa as well.
I just watched the Cinema Snob movie again yesterday as a refresher, and quite a lot has changed with the character and with you over the years. How much of that is going to be reflected in the new movie?
Well, I'm not as fat as I was in the first movie. The first movie is kind of weird because like my weight fluctuates in it. Like there's some scenes where I'm bigger than I am in other scenes because that movie was made like while I was losing weight. So if you look at one scene, like me and Jillian in the bar having drinks, I'm way bigger in that scene than I am later in the movie when I find like the cop dead in his car and like the scene with like the severed nose and things like that. So that's kind of funny. It just shows where this character is at now. Whereas the first movie is all taking place before the Cinema Snob series exists. Like he comes up with this character, the main character in the movie, who's this exploitation movie writer, comes up with this character called the Cinema Snob so he can infiltrate this film group. This movie is several years later, and this character has been doing this series for a long time. So this movie, the first movie didn't really have much in the way of saying anything necessarily about internet culture or being a YouTuber or you know, a content creator or anything like that, because the character wasn't a YouTuber in the first movie. He was just trying to get a movie made, so it had a lot to do with like the indie film scene and stuff like that. Whereas this movie, the character's been on YouTube for a while, so this movie does play around a lot with internet celebrity, controversies, outrage culture, a lot of things like that the movie has a lot of fun with those elements, while at the same time being like the first one, where the deeper it gets into the story, the more like an exploitation movie it gets. Mm-hmm. In the first one, when they're in the first movie where they're solving this mystery about this killer killing off people at the film club, it starts becoming a giallo thriller as it goes along. Whereas this one, it's a road movie. So the more they get into it, the more like a 70s road exploitation movie it turns into.
Mm-hmm. Since you're going to be handling this with elements of those 70s road movie, you know, Hotel Hell and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mm-hmm. that kind of thing, how are you going to budget it to get everything that you need? I know that I believe your budget that you have on Indiegogo now is 50,000, correct?
Yeah, 50,000. Yeah.
Okay. That how do you budget it to get all that and stay within that budget?
Oh, I don't know. That's a question for Ryan. That's Ryan's job. My job's way done by that point. Actually, that's not true in this regard because I'm the lead in this movie. In Jesus, Bro, I just had a small part. I'm like in 100% of this movie. Yeah, Ryan, he knows this movie. He knows everything that happens in it. I asked Ryan, like, what kind of budget do you think that we need on this film? Ryan said that this is a movie that could be made. It could be made for Jesus Bro's budget. We would like to go beyond that to get some like names that we would like to be in it for certain characters. So we really do want to go beyond that, but it can be made for 50,000. Unlike Jesus Bro, though, this is an Indiegogo campaign it's a fixed goal. So if it comes in under 50,000, we don't get anything. Whereas Jesus Bro, if it came in under, we'd have to have made a lot of sacrifices. But we still would have put a movie together. In this movie's case, if it came in under that, it just wouldn't be a good product. There's too many sacrifices we'd have to make, and we want the movie to be great. We want the movie to work. We don't want to just have some rushed product put out there that we would have to have made a lot of budget sacrifices on. So yeah, doing it for 50,000 is something that we could do again.
How far out of Illinois are you looking to travel for the road trip part of the movie, or are you going to try to keep it all as local as possible?
Well, right now we're mainly focused on the campaign. A lot of the location scouting and things like that are going to come into play once the campaign is done. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're just really focused on advertising the Indiegogo campaign, and also like tweaking some things in the script as well. But so that'll happen, once the movie's a sure thing and we can go into pre-production. Right now we want to do a lot of live streams for this. We want to do some more videos. We're doing everything we can, to advertise this as much as possible because it's just a project that we really want to do.
What are the levels of perks that people can get on the Indiegogo campaign?
The way that the perks are on Indiegogo is like you get, let's say you get any of them higher than the lowest one, you get all the ones underneath it as well. And it starts out with a lot of perks that are like digital downloads of certain movies. Like you could get a digital download of our movie Disco, of the first Cinema Snob movie, of Jesus Bro. And then the higher up it gets, there's like hard copies of some of these movies. And also we have, one of them is a pre-order on a Cinema Snob DVD that's not out yet. I'm working on another DVD exclusive Snob episode DVD that's uncut and uncensored, and this one's about Nazi exploitation movies. So that one's up on pre-order on there. You can pre-order a copy of that DVD. And we have things too, like you can have early access to behind the scenes photos. You can be in a Snapchat where we're taking a lot of pictures of the making of the movie. There's you can get a copy of the script. You can be credited as an associate producer, or you can have your name in the credits and on the DVD. You can also, the highest one we have on there is to have your name be mentioned in the movie's dialogue. That's the highest one we have on there now.
Have you thought about actually, for an even higher tier, casting someone that donates an exorbitant amount?
Yeah, we have actually. Maybe that'll be something that we throw in there maybe that'll be something that we throw in there later on into the campaign, or logistics are just going to be a huge thing on that. Like that, we're not 100% sure that would happen really, but we'll see. I mean, no one's gone for the highest tier right now, so I don't know how much more we're necessarily going to be adding, but we're going to be doing some live streams coming up where you'll be able to like ask us, where people can call in and ask us questions and things like that.
For those that haven't watched the original Cinema Snob movie, would they be able to just pick up this sequel without having to watch the original? Is it going to be just its own encapsulated thing, or is there going to be a lot of references to that first film?
There's not a lot of references to the first film, but there are a couple. You wouldn't be, because it takes place, okay, we did the movie in 2012, so the movie at least takes place like 6+ years later, maybe even longer than that, because I don't even know. The first movie might have been taken place earlier than 2012, because I started the series in 2007. So a lot of time has passed. It does reference it does reference at one point the events from the first movie, and where Craig, the main character, is at. Where Craig, the main character, is at this point in his career is that he's trying to, or he's not trying. He did make a movie, and it's about to be released, but that it's a bomb and is laughed off the screen. And what the movie is kind of a reference to some things in the first movie. But by and large, you wouldn't be confused because there's context to it in this film. If you haven't seen the first movie, these couple of references that it has, they're not going to leave you hanging. They're not going to be confused. They're worked in naturally into the dialogue to where even if you haven't seen the first movie, you really do know the context of what they're talking about. But since my character is pretty much the only returning character from the first movie, yeah, no, it's not largely dependent on everything that happened in the first film.
You're probably one of the most consistent creators that I know. I mean, I can always expect to see something from you in one way or the other showing up. How do you keep that energy alive?
I'm a shark. If I don't keep swimming, I die. People online, they joke like every now and then in the comments, someone will joke like, well, clearly it's the cocaine. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, like, one, I got off of that shit like in the early 2000s. Two, if that were the case, I wouldn't be making videos. I'd be out partying. I'd be out partying and nursing 12 hangovers a week. No, it really is just, I love doing it. Like it's my job, but I don't think of it that way. I love watching the movies for the snob. I still love playing the character, but I get to do a lot of other things. Like I don't really get burnout. I don't get burnt. I've been doing the series for 11 years, but I don't get burnout from it because the show's evolved to include different kinds of movies, and it's fun spotlighting the different kinds of movies. There are different types of episodes. Some episodes are riff-heavy episodes, and some are more analytical. But even beyond that, you know, I can focus on other projects too, like Lloyd, the animated series, this movie, another Cinema Snob movie, also movies like Disco and Jesus Bro, and, you know, getting out to the theater with my friends every week to go see movies for the midnight screenings. It's my full-time job. So, and since a majority of it is based here at home, there are a lot of times where it's like, if I'm not working on something, I get bored easily. Like, it's like going into the office and not doing anything, you know, like sometimes I'll just work on something just to keep entertained.
I wish I had that. I wish I had that luxury sometimes, but every time I turn around, the inbox is full of either a screener or an interview request or something. So
yeah,
I've
had to kind of, since I'm married now, I've had to kind of like Like, okay, well, I won't work. I won't work 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yeah,
um,
trust me, I know trying to segregate the time needed for what we do and
yeah,
the responsibility that actually matters is a tough struggle.
yeah. It's like I'll do the site stuff and the video stuff like during the day.
I had a little existential crisis. Like I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. Michelle came
Hmm.
home and I was looking at our numbers for our YouTube channel, and since we got demonetized when YouTube did that whole thing, they suck. They're just horrible. So I was
Yeah.
like, do I really want to do this anymore? Do I want to? I mean, I've been writing for so many years. I'm just kind of tired. It was like, no, you can't stop. And I was like, it's just because you want to go to all the gigs and all the set visits. She was like, yep. It's like, okay, I'll keep doing it just because because my wife wants to go to all the stuff that we get invited to.
Hmm.
Like it's the cheap vacations, especially when the studios pay for it.
Like conventions are like working vacations for me because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I am there at the conventions to, promote our DVDs, our movies, do panels, talk with fans and things like that. But they are also, it's a nice perk, get out of town for the weekend. And I'm a big like foodie, so getting to these new places and trying new restaurants and things like
Mm-hmm.
that are great. I'm a fast food junkie too, so being in like new towns where it's like, ooh, Springfield doesn't have a Bebop, so I'm gonna eat there today.
it's it's a lot of give and take. I wouldn't. I don't know if I would do it all over again. I
Hmm.
love the entertainment industry, but sometimes it's a little much. Um,
Yeah.
but then there are times that when I'm really considering just going, I'm just gonna do my regular 9 to 5 job and do that because that's what pays the bills. It's like I'll look
Hmm.
back at some of the stories, or I'll see the picture that my current editor in chief took of us when we were in the basement set of Stranger Things with the kids. It's just
Hmm.
like it's those little pieces that just are like
Yeah.
that's the fuel that I need to keep doing this because it might be tough, but eventually there's a little bit of payoff, and that little bit of payoff every now and then just keeps it going for another 6 months.
No, totally. And, focusing on what you love and what your passion is for what you
Hmm.
do, as well as like curbing anything that would make you depressed or insane. Like, I'm, okay, how do I put this? I'm from a lot of people that I know who do this for a living. Um, when it comes to uh, social media, when it comes to Twitter, Facebook, all of that, I'm probably the least uh, politically a political person, really,
Hmm.
when it comes to like things like that, um, because I need my sanity. Like, you know, sometimes you just got to step away from certain things if you just want joy in your life and you want to enjoy what you're doing. Now, that's not to say that, that I don't have beliefs or anything like that, because I do. And you can certainly tell in some videos that I've done what my beliefs
Hmm.
really are. But at the end of the day, I just want to still have joy in what I do. I don't want to sacrifice my sanity. I don't want to go down that hole. So really just, you know, focusing on movies, on talking about movies, on projects
Hmm.
and things like that. It it that as well is something that very much keeps me from having any kind of burnout in my
Hmm.
job. I hope
Uh,
I hope I put that well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I understand. We had a conversation similar to this sometime last year, off the record,
Yeah.
that you have to be able to separate what you do from what you believe sometimes,
Uh-huh.
simply because personal beliefs can really, really cost you in the entertainment industry. I found that out the hard way.
Sure.
I'm, I was, I'm, we were pretty progressive for a while.
Right.
The election burnt both me and my wife out. And there was just like, you get on social media and people would just be ripping into something, and then me as a journalist, I still, even though I'm an entertainment journalist, I still have some integrity as a real journalist. And I'm just like, well, why don't we look at the facts? And then I just watch my follow list just shrink.
Oh man!
Like if you're not with us 100%, you're against us. Like, no, it just cost me a lot of contacts, and all of a sudden, like my invites to set visits and stuff suddenly just evaporated.
Yeah.
And
like I can't.
That was hard hitting, just because I thought I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not making any statements against anyone. I'm just like, well, why don't we just do our jobs as journalists and look at facts before we make clickbait articles? Nope.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Mr.
It can make
Phelan.
you miserable. It can make you totally miserable, man. Like no, yeah, I know what you mean. Like I can't like sacrifice my, like, not to repeat myself, but I can't sacrifice my sanity in that regard, really. Like, life's stressful enough as it is.
Yeah, especially when you do actively or have in the past suffer from depression. Dealing with social media is a very difficult thing to do.
Oh my God!
You get so easily wrapped up in it.
Man. It's like, whoa, I can't, like, no matter what whose side I'm on right here, like, I can't. I'm not gonna dip my toe into this like freaking argument that I'm watching unfold in front of my eyes right now. Like, I have to be on social media because of my job, because of what I do to promote all the things that I do and all that. But I'll be on there and I'll see like, okay, man, like I can see someone that I certainly philosophically agree with, but it's like I can't have that breakdown, like I see people just having breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, to where it's just destroying them, absolutely destroying them. And I'm not saying for wrong reasons. I'm not saying that. Could be totally for right reasons that truly do come from the heart. But I can't do that to myself. Like, man, I can't. Like, I just got to focus on what I do best.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but believe me, when I'm off, don't get me wrong. Like, when I'm off social media and everything, oh yeah, do I talk politics?
There's just a time and a place for it, unfortunately, and some people can't distinguish you as a person from your political views, right? Mine might be a little bit more conservative, but then I also grew up as a blue collar kid in the construction industry, so I was surrounded more by those people. So I have a little bit more of a, you work hard and you earn, what you get by the amount of work you put out. And then when I say that to another journalist at something, they're just suddenly they're just like, oh my God, how can you have this viewpoint? You work in this industry. Like, well, because I'm an individual.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Twitter and Facebook is certainly a place for that, because it is people's personal accounts and they can write and say whatever they want on there. So those things absolutely are like, okay, yeah, like, I'm not going to say to somebody on Twitter or Facebook, hey, you shouldn't say that, or something. I mean, unless they're like, I don't know, unless, I don't know, they're threatening someone's life or something like that. Like, yeah, because, okay, yeah, there are extremes, but yeah, that is a place for their personal thoughts, their personal beliefs, and things like that. I just don't put so much of it on mine anymore, because it's like, yeah, I don't want, like, I just don't want the headache.
When I see something of yours in my feed, it's always just it's what I expect. It's you have a new video up, you're promoting something, and that's where it starts and stops with Brad Jones.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I will, if I think it's like funny enough or clever enough. Sometimes I will. Like, I've responded to Trump before on Twitter. It's kind of few in between right now, but in 2016, definitely, it was a hot button year. It was a very political year. Not to say this year isn't, but yeah, 2016 is a general election. Like, I was saying more political things on Twitter then than I do now necessarily, but really everyone was. Every single person was. And a lot do it now too. Now, once in a while, if it's something, if it's something I think is clever, or if I have something snarky to say or something like that, then I will. Also, sometimes it might depend on the mood I'm in as well. But it's like I said, sometimes it's like I should say this, but I'm like, you know what, I really don't want the headache. People know what my beliefs are by and large they do. So it's not like I'm really much of a mystery in terms of what my political beliefs are. So I'm like, okay, people do, they know me fairly well as a person. Like, I'm gonna, talk about movies and shit.
Yeah, even during interviews, I hate bringing it up because you never know what the reaction is going to be from the listener, and if they just totally get turned off and miss the message as a whole out of my interviews. Like I interviewed Casper Van Dien last week, and I had to cut about 20 minutes out of our interview because we went off topic into an area that I was like, I don't want to. This is not part of what we were talking about, and I don't want to be unfair to Casper by putting that out, by publishing that. Because Casper's a really nice guy, so I don't he's a fellow Floridian, so I don't want to piss him off. So.
Right, yeah.
So, it's just but sometimes it happens on set too. There's sometimes things get politically charged and it makes it very awkward. And it's not always the journalists that bring it up. Sometimes it's the stars or the director. And I was caught in one of those situations not that long ago, and I was just sitting there like, what this person just said really pisses me off morally, but I've just got to press on. I've got to just get this interview done and can go home.
I mean, I'm just used to that. If anything, because I mean, I grew up Springfield, Illinois was a bit more red when I was growing up than it is now. So, and I also grew up going to religious schools as well. So I always grew up in an environment that was way more conservative than me. My friends were way more conservative than me when I was growing up. Some members of my family, not a majority, but some, certainly. So I just grew up in an environment where I really didn't get mad or set off by that kind of thing. When I do get mad, if I do get mad and I do get set off, it isn't solely just because, okay, you're saying something that's more this side of the aisle than mine. It isn't necessarily that per se. It's because you're a dickhead. like okay, it's like talking about a movie like God's Not Dead. God's Not Dead. I don't get upset at a movie like God's Not Dead because it's more religious than I am or something like that. I get upset at a movie like that because it appeals to the absolute worst in people. They're being assholes. Like, it's just straw man BS. Like, that's what's upsetting about it. It's not because it's religious. Like, you could say the same thing about like Dinesh D'Souza's movie Hillary's America, or any of his movies. It's not bad just strictly just because it's coming from a conservative angle. Not at all. It's bad because he's a talentless hack. Who has not a single human bone in his body. Like, it's not. You and I both grew up watching action movies that could very much be deemed as conservative films, and yet they're still awesome. Like, even though, like, okay, maybe they're a bit more like conservative and maybe a little bit more paranoid than I am, but still, like, it just works. Something about it makes it work. Either it's the filmmaking, the acting, the action, or maybe you're engrossed in the story, or you really like the lead, or it has charisma. You know, like, it just, you know, anything John Milius wrote, like, okay, like, you know, there's something cool about that. Not something like anything that DeSouza puts out or something like that. That's just, I don't even know what you would call it. That is just what a dumb person thinks a smart person is.
It's political propaganda put to film and widely released is probably the worst thing that anyone could have to sit through. Religious films I can understand because they, yeah, but like, I think the very end of War Room, it was a stupid film, but the end of War Room is what pissed me off the most, when it's kind of making this decree that that you need to rise up and take action. It was sentiments that were similar in like parts of Jesus Camp, where you have to be ready to die for the Lord. I'm like, I'm sorry, which country are we suddenly in? Because we're not going to start killing each other over religious beliefs in America.
It's what I keep saying, like with War Room and things like that. Like you're going to put a propaganda movie out there, at least be good at it. Like,
be charismatic. That's how you win them over. You have to have charisma. You don't beat them over the head with a stupid message and a flawed plot. Make another Commando, right? But make a Commando that's a propaganda movie.
Red Dawn. At least Red Dawn's awesome.
Remake, not so much, but
not that piece of shit.
There's that certain charismatic style that was found in the 80s that died somewhere in the mid-90s and just has not come back. We got a little bit with Jason Statham, like in the mid-2000s, but it hasn't come back full force. And I was hoping like the one good thing that would come out of the Trump administration is all of a sudden there'd just like be testosterone shoved back into the movie industry, but it hasn't happened.
It's gonna be something like it's going to be bad versions of that, though. It's going to be things like Last Ounce of Courage, or Christmas with a capital C, or that Amerigeddon movie. Like, it's just going to be like a Pure Flix movie, but with guns.
Well, the Left Behind series, I'm surprised it didn't get the rest of the adaptations to the book. I mean, I thought that would be the perfect thing to make an action series out of. Lord of the Rings for retards.
Right, yeah.
It's I don't know how we got. It's my fault. I got us so off the subject.
No, it's cool.
By bringing politics into it, like an asshole.
No, it's fine. Like, because I mean, the sequel to the Snob movie does have elements, not political. It's not a political movie at all. It does have elements that do very much satirize internet controversies, kind of jumping the gun and being outraged at certain things. Like I'm talking like low level outrage. Like okay, what's like a good example off the top of my head?
The Channel Awesome thing?
No, like like Show Dogs, like the whole thing with Show Dogs or Peter Rabbit, or things like that. Like there's things in it that really kind of satirize outrage culture, but not from any side, really, just the idea of it in general. Right. And the whole movie's not like that at all. That's just an element that's just kind of in there a little bit with certain supporting characters that are in the movie.
Right. It just moves the plot along.
Yeah. One of the supporting characters in it is well, the person who directs the movie within the movie is like going through a controversy because of things that happened on his last movie, and then there's another person who's making the trip with them who is like a Twitch gamer who's going through he's going through a controversy right now because for whatever reason he went on a racial tirade against circus freaks.
when you're writing something that's topical and meant to be humorous, who do you bounce this off of as you're writing it to see what their reaction is? Do you do that with Ryan, or do you do that with someone else?
Ryan. I certainly do it with Ryan. We bounce back and forth ideas like that off of each other all the time, especially a movie like this where even in its conception, we're just going through different ideas of what we could do with the sequel with certain characters. So yeah, jokes like that and other things about it, I'll say to him, I was like, okay, what do you think? Here's something I would like to do with like this character. Here's something I would like to do with that character. And we talk about different jokes we could do. And Ryan is really, really good at expanding certain characters as well. So yeah, he's one of my best friends, but we also have a really great working relationship too on these movies.
I don't believe you've done any sort of casting yet, right? You have people in mind, but you haven't actually compiled a short list of people.
Yes, I do have people in mind that I would like for certain parts, but that's going to really come down to what we bring in on the Indiegogo. But then there's other characters too, where it's like, okay, I have, this person in mind for this person in mind for that. And then some of that's is going to come down to availability, like, especially since it's a road movie, and who on my website is best available and when, and if they could take time off for certain characters. But I've got in my head, when I wrote the script, I had people in, like I do with every movie I've written. I see one person in my head as I'm writing a character, and I'm writing the character in their voice. That was the case with this one too, but it's really going to come down to, there's a lot of characters that are going to come down to what the Indiegogo brings in.
Who would be your ideal guest cameo choice if you were to, let's say, if you had an even bigger budget, if you had a grand budget, who would you like to bring in to be part of your film? Either character actor or a cult favorite actor, someone like that.
Someone who isn't like if I had like $10 million.
Yeah.
Okay. A Nicolas Cage, a John Travolta, a Sylvester Stallone, any of those guys. Yeah, absolutely. Like that would be great. That would be like dream casting. But none of those guys are on our list right now because that's not realistic for the budget we have. Yeah, no, that would be really cool.
How much do you have to go to meet your goal as of right now?
I think right now it's somewhere around 7,000, and we have about 40 days left. It's higher at this point now than Jesus Bro was at this point 2 years ago. So that's good. I mean, I'm gonna still, like with Jesus, bro, I got to promote my ass off and mention it in all the videos and do. I am gonna do a snob episode on the first Cinema Snob movie. It's gonna be a 2-part episode. I got that coming up, not this Monday, but the next two. So that'll be cool. I've never done that before. I've never done an episode on one of my own movies. I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to do an episode on one of my own movies, but I haven't before. And this is about the best time to do that.
And if I believe the Nostalgia Critic did a couple of reviews of your film. One of them was the Cinema Snob movie, right?
Yeah, he did. He did an episode on the Snob movie. He did one on Paranoia. He's done some of the other movies too. Like he did an episode on Lewis's Atop the Fourth Wall movie. It's always really, really, really funny when he does that.
Do you have any plans for another 24-hour stream?
Yeah.
To get people to. Oh, you did.
We do.
How taxing was that last time?
It was 12 hours, and my voice was starting to hurt towards the end of it, and my lungs. But it was. I've done it before. I've been on long charity streams and things like that. Plus, we load up videos whenever we need a break, and it's fun to do. It's fun to do. So I'll be doing that. I'll be doing that again with this. Basically, with this, I'm going to be doing that on every Saturday that I'm in town. I'm not in town this Saturday, but I will be for the next couple. So I'm going to be doing that on just Saturdays until the thing is done, because we want the 50,000 for it, but we want to go beyond that. We want to go beyond that, because there's just names that we would really like for this movie. So yeah, we're going to be working pretty hard.
The most important question is, where can people find the Indiegogo, the actual URL for it, and where can they go to get the original Cinema Snob movie?
The original Cinema Snob movie you can find at walkaway.entertainment.com. It's on DVD, and also it's on Vimeo as well, and that link is on the front page of my site at thecinemasnob.com. And for links to the Indiegogo, you can find that on our front page at thecinemasnob.com. You can find it in the description of any videos that we've done in the past week. If you follow us on Twitter at the Cinema Snob, there's tons of links on there. There's a lot of links on our YouTube on our YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/stonedgremlinproductions. So follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on YouTube, and there's links to the Indiegogo all over the place.